Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Mysteries from Beyond the Other Dominion. I'm your host, Dr. Franklin Ruehl. Now, it has just been announced that water has been discovered on the Jovian moon of Europa, thereby indicating that life could exist there. But I made these arguments back in 1996, that Europa harbors water and therefore life. Now, roll tape! Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Mysteries from Beyond the Other Dominion. I'm your host, Dr. Franklin Ruehl, and today we're going to ask if the Jovian moon of Europa is a lie. Report on the fake hairs of India. Tell you the truth. Yes, I said the truth about Revolutionary War hero John Paul Jones, and critique the 1947 psychodrama My Own Executioner, starring Burgess Meredith and Kieran Moore, and cover other intriguing segments, time of course permitting. But first, is Europa, the Jovian moon, a lie? I say yes. Now just recently, astronomers from NASA and JPL have acknowledged that life may indeed exist under Europa's surface, that there may be an internal sea there. Now let's take a photograph taken from 1979 from the earlier Voyager probe. As you can see, Europa appears to be akin to a giant ice ball with cracks on it. It's very suggestive of some ponds you may see in the Minnesota or back east, where there are cracks. Some of these cracks are caused by water actually breaking through the surface and then freezing over. Well, the latest survey has close-up photos of Europa, confirming more and more that it appears like the Arctic or Antarctic regions. For example, they have now identified giant ice floes that appear to be chunks of ice that have been rotated by underlying currents of water. In addition, they've discovered an area called Bellis Linea. It's a broad area consisting of two dark bands surrounding a central white band. The thought is that water broke through the surface, caused sediment to spill out on both sides, and that water in the center froze over. And they also note that Europa, unlike its cousins such as Io, Ganymede, and Callisto, the other three giant Jovian moons, is not pockmarked by craters from asteroid impacts. Why? Because it's believed that water from the interior burst out and flooded the surface and then froze over and concealed those craters which were originally there. Now, what would happen if we bore into the ice of Europa? First of all, we should find at least some sort of microscopic life. But beyond that, I suggest that even higher forms of aquatic life would be found, such as fish, mollusks, crustaceans, even higher form. Not necessarily identical to what we have in terrestrial oceans, but parallel to and analogous to it. We have a tremendous diversity of life in our terrestrial oceans. So we should expect that also within Europa. But possibly there might even be advanced humanoid amphibians, even possibly an Atlantis within Europa. Now one question some people ask, it's so cold there, how could the water remain liquid? Well, first of all, Europa may have an internal hot core. So whereas on Earth we have geothermal energy heating water, there may be urothermal water. In addition, the ice over the water would actually protect it from the cold air, just as in Antarctica and the Arctic regions, where glacial overlying snow could keep water warm underneath. And then in the case of Europa, there's what's called tidal energy, introduced by gravitational attraction by both the large planet Jupiter and the 3 other moons that are rotating near it, Io, Ganymede, and Callisto. So every indication is that there should be a liquid interior, a sea of life within Europa. Now you might ask, is there any analog on Earth? Well, it just so happens there is. Just recently discovered in Antarctica is Lake Vostok in the Russian territory there. This is an underground lake about the size of Lake Ontario, the smallest of the 5 Great Lakes, approximately 7,500 square miles in area. It's believed to be 2 miles beneath the Antarctic surface, and again, kept liquid by geothermal energy and a top layer of snow and ice. Actually, scientists there have bored down to about 2 miles, so they're very close to being able to extract water samples from Lake Vostok. And there they expect to find, hopefully, primitive bacteria and even higher forms of life that may have evolved over millions of years, totally independent of any other area on Earth. So these may be unique life forms, and they may actually parallel what we'd expect to find within Europa. Now, my contention is that these discoveries, especially by the new Galileo probe, should compel us to dispatch a manned mission to Europa as soon as possible. And using sophisticated laser drills, we should bore through the surface. And by the way, the newest Galileo photos indicate that that surface may only be 2 miles thick, whereas before we thought it was 6 to 10 miles, only 2 miles thick, similar to Antarctica. We could come up with a sample of European water, proving that we're not alone in the universe. And my bet is that we'll find Europa is alive. I'm staking my reputation on it. I originally said this way back on show number 11, taped on January 17th, 1985. This is 11 years later, show number 153. Finally, the NASA scientists have caught up with us. I'm staking my reputation on it. Remember, you heard it here first. Europa is alive. No doubt about it. Now, until next time, may the power of the cosmos and of Europa be with you. Yes, yes, yes.